From translation, TLB the Living Bible this 133 day of the year. Today we are reading passages 2 Chronicles 9-12 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verses 1 to 31. When the Queen of Sheba heard about Solomon's fame and wisdom, she came to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions. She arrived with a very large caravan of camels, loaded with spices, gold, and precious stones. She came to Solomon and talked with him about everything she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for him to explain. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and wisdom is true. But I did not believe what they said until I came and saw it with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half the greatness of your wisdom was told to me. You have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy your officials, who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to maintain justice and righteousness." And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices, and precious stones. Never again were such abundant spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. The fleet of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir brought from there also algum and precious stones. The king made the almug into steps for the temple of the Lord and for the royal palace, and into harps and lyres for the musicians. No such almug has ever been brought or seen to this day. King Solomon received 666 talents of gold. In addition to the revenues from the merchants and traders, and from all the Arabian kings and the governors of the land, he also received gold from Hadadrimmon and from the gold mines of Uphaz. King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of gold went into each shield. He also made 300 small shields of hammered gold, with 300 shekels of gold in each shield. The king put them in the palace of the forest of Lebanon. The king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with pure gold. The throne had 6 steps with a footstool of gold. There were armrests on both sides of the seat, with a lion standing beside each of the armrests. 12 lions stood on the 6 steps, one on either end. Nothing like it had ever been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's goblets were gold, and all the household articles in the palace of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver, because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's days. The king's ships sailed to Tarshish with Hiram's men once every 3 years. The ships returned, bringing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and monkeys. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. All the kings of the earth sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God had put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought him a gift, articles of silver and gold, robes, weapons, spices, horses, and mules. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for chariots and 12,000 horses, which he kept in the chariot cities and also with him in Jerusalem. He ruled over all the kings from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. The kings brought tribute and were subject to Solomon all his life. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as plentiful as sycamore fig trees in the foothills. Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt and from Cilicia, where the king's merchants bought them. The other events of Solomon's reign, from beginning to end, are written in the records of Nathan the prophet, in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the visions of Iddo the seer concerning Jeroboam son of Nebat. Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. Then he rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David his father. And his son Rehoboam succeeded him as king. 2 Chronicles chapter 10, verses 1-19. Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all the Israelites had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam son of Nebat heard this, he was in Egypt where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned from Egypt. So they sent for Jeroboam, and he and all Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Rehoboam answered, "Come back to me in 3 days." So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. They replied, "If today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants." But Rehoboam rejected the advice the elders gave him and consulted the young men who had grown up with him and were serving him. He asked them, "What is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, 'Lighten the yoke your father put on us'?" The young men who had grown up with him replied, "Tell these people who have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make it lighter for us.' Tell them, 'My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke, I will make it even heavier. My father disciplined you with whips, I will discipline you with scorpions." 3 days later Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam, as the king had directed, for the king had said, "Come back to me in 3 days." So the people came back to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, as the king had ordered. The king answered the people harshly. Rejecting the advice the elders had given him, he followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father laid on you a heavy yoke, I will make it even heavier. My father disciplined you with whips, I will discipline you with scorpions." When all the Israelites saw that the king refused to listen to them, they answered the king, "What share do we have in David? We have no inheritance in Jesse's son. To your tents, O Israel, look after your own house, O David." So all the Israelites went home. But as for the Israelites who were living in the towns of Judah, Rehoboam still ruled over them. King Rehoboam sent Adoniram, who was in charge of forced labor, to the Israelites, but they stoned him to death. King Rehoboam, however, managed to get up into his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. This turned out to be the cause of the rebellion against Rehoboam by the people of Israel. It confirmed the word the Lord had spoken to Jeroboam son of Nebat through Ahijah the Shilonite. 2 Chronicles chapter 11, verses 1 to 23. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he mustered the whole house of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 fighting men, to make war against Israel and to restore the kingdom to Rehoboam. But this word of the Lord came to Shemaiah the man of God. "Say to Rehoboam son of Solomon king of Judah, to the whole house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, this is what the Lord says. Do not go up to fight against your brothers. Go home, every one of you, for this is from me." So they obeyed the word of the Lord and turned back from marching against Jeroboam. Rehoboam lived in Jerusalem and built up fortified cities in Judah. He built up Bethlehem, Etam, Tekoa, Beit-Zur, Soko, Adullam, Gath, Maashah, Ziph, Adoraim, Lachish, Azekah, Zorah, Ajalon, and Hebron. These were fortified cities in Judah and Benjamin. He strengthened their fortifications and put commanders in them, with supplies of food, olive oil, and wine. He put shields and spears in all the cities and made them stronger. The priests and Levites from all their districts throughout Israel sided with him. The Levites even abandoned their pasture lands and their property, and came to Judah and Jerusalem, because Jeroboam and his sons had rejected them as priests of the Lord. He appointed his own priests for the high places, and for the goat and calf idols he had made. From every tribe in Israel, those who set their hearts on seeking the Lord, the God of Israel, came to Jerusalem to sacrifice to the Lord, the God of their fathers. They strengthened the kingdom of Judah and supported Rehoboam son of Solomon 3 years, for they walked in the ways of David and Solomon for 3 years. Rehoboam married Mahalath, who was the daughter of David's son Jeremoth and of Abihail, the daughter of Eliab son of Jesse. She bore him sons, Jeush, Shemariah, and Ahaz. After marrying Mahalath, he also married Maacah, daughter of Absalom. She bore him Abijah, Attai, Ziza, and Shelomith. Rehoboam loved Maacah more than all his other wives and concubines. In all, he had 18 wives and 60 concubines, and he became the father of 28 sons and 60 daughters. Rehoboam appointed Abijah son of Maacah to be the chief prince among his brothers, for he intended to make him king. He acted wisely, dispersing some of his sons throughout the districts of Judah and Benjamin, to every fortified city, and he gave them supplies and provisions in abundance. He also found many wives for them. 2 Chronicles chapter 12. Verses 1 to 13. After Rehoboam's position was established, and he had become strong, he and all Judah abandoned the law of the Lord. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak king of Egypt attacked Jerusalem. He had 1,200 chariots, 60,000 horsemen, and no number of foot soldiers, the people without number who came with him from Egypt. He captured the fortified cities of Judah and came as far as Jerusalem. Then the prophet Shemaiah came to Rehoboam and to the leaders of Judah who had gathered in Jerusalem because of Shishak. He said to them, "This is what the Lord says, you have abandoned me, therefore I have abandoned you to the hand of Shishak." The leaders of Israel and the king humbled themselves and said, "The Lord is righteous." When the Lord saw that they humbled themselves, the word of the Lord came to Shemaiah, "They have humbled themselves. I will not destroy them, but I will soon give them deliverance. My wrath will not be poured out on Jerusalem through Shishak. Nevertheless, they will be subject to him, so that they may learn the difference between serving me and serving the kings of other lands." Shishak king of Egypt attacked Jerusalem and carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including the gold shields Solomon had made. King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them, and assigned these to the commanders of the royal guard on duty at the entrance to the palace. Whenever the king went to the temple of the Lord, the guards bore the shields, and afterward they returned them to the guardroom. Because Rehoboam humbled himself, the Lord's anger turned from him, and he did not destroy him completely. Indeed, some good things were found in Judah. King Rehoboam established himself firmly in Jerusalem and continued as king. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel in which to put his name. His mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonite.